I wanna talk about Disney, and the thing is that the person who's going to get the blame for this, for the Strange Worlds collapsing and doing as awful as it did, is going to be Bob Chapek, when I don't actually think that that's the right idea, because this would have been greenlit under Bob Iger. But
I'm not so sure, actually. I think that
this would have been greenlit while Iger was still in charge.
Of course, yes. But some people are spreading the theory that Strange World was used as a test dummy for LGBT protagonists, and they had banked on its failure all along from the very beginning. So they would use it as proof that they shouldn't continue with LGBT representation in their kid-friendly movies.
That could be Chapek's idea, but I don't think
that seems like a totally false pipe dream. That would imply that Disney listens to audiences and takes note of what they like and dislike, and we know that they don't do that. Really, what they're going to do, what critics especially are going to do, is blame the flop of Strange World on homophobia.
So I want you guys to hear these numbers first. $120 million budget, $60 million.
I think it was 180.
180 with marketing.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that $60 million went, because I didn't see any advertisements for it outside of IMDb.
It's suspicious, isn't it? A lot of people said they didn't hear anything about the film until it was out.
The only advertisement I saw from it was a 5-second unskippable ad on YouTube.
Yeah. So $18 million domestically, a total of $28 million, not over a 3-day weekend, over a 5-day holiday weekend, which is typically where Disney animation goes to succeed, not go to die. Mm-hmm. So
they made like $27 million over that whole 5 days, internationally and domestically. And that was compared to the, 80 million that they wanted to open to?
Yes. And I think they said they saw it like 24
Insane.
they were going to get from international, and it got way less than that.
That does feel like a controlled demolition.
Yeah. And the other thing is that it's a holiday release. So normally the holiday release is where you'd put something that you have a whole bunch of confidence in. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't seem to be the case here, given that there was no marketing. Not that I saw. Maybe that marketing went places we don't go.
Well, being in theaters when kids are out of school, and it's most likely the time when families are going out to the movies, you would think they'd have smooth sailing. Yeah. And people just weren't interested in this.
So this is super telling of A, where the culture's going, and B, where Disney is at right now. Because the 5-second ad was essentially Disney's Strange World out this holiday weekend, boom, and it's done. And so when you analyze it from a marketing perspective, the first word, Disney, so they're using, their brand goodwill to get you out there, Strange World, so you know what you should watch out this holiday weekend, call to action, right? So typically that's enough, honestly. But I think this is a demonstration that we are right now shifting into a culture where the market is so saturated, and you can get that niche content that's just right for you, to where an advertisement like that would normally be sufficient was not.
Yeah. And people walked out. There was tweets about people who just,
I don't know,
that the kids didn't want to be there.
This tweet feels like all of those tweets where people write their 8-year-olds to be far more verbally proficient than they are.
Dad,
but this one,
why is climate change ending the world right now?
So this one tweet said, took the kids to the movies today to watch a Disney cartoon called Strange World. Within 10 minutes of the movie, my 10-year-old son said, Dad, I have no desire to watch this movie.
Doesn't feel real to me.
Can we leave? We left. The leaders at Disney have forgotten who the paying customer is.
Maybe if he left out the part at the end about Disney forgetting who the paying customer is, I'd buy it. But
you're not wrong,
feels,
but also this just feels astroturfed.
Yes, that doesn't feel real to me.
But then again, Disney did forfeit box office in over 20 countries, I believe. We covered this already because they wanted to shoehorn in this plot line where a 16-year-old character's sexual orientation is so integral to his character that they can't edit it out strategically to fit other cultures. But it was so integral to the story, it was impossible to forego it. And that's creepy.
But if you're I only find out about this because of my conversations with you two. To the regular bystander, because from what I'm seeing in chat is like, I didn't see, people are saying like they didn't see any advertisements.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I am probably outside of the demographic unless they're targeting parents or people of my age who would normally be like parent age. And so I'm wondering, in their individual marketing, was that like a central aspect, or was that in like the fluff pieces?
In the fluff pieces.
Yeah,
it wasn't a huge part of the standard marketing, but it's in the fluff pieces. But that is now considered part of the standard marketing, and sadly, that's because they know that commentators like us will talk about it.
Well, critics, you would expect, would unequivocally praise a movie like this because it's putting forth the social messaging that they want, and yet they have one of the lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores any Disney animation film has gotten in the last 15 years, only above Cars 2 and Cars 3, which I don't remember watching ever. Yep. So it's not doing well, even with the critics who you would think would praise it. And then the audiences have never heard of it, aren't going to see it. It feels like a controlled demolition to me. That's why people are theorizing that Disney wanted to use Strange World as a reason not to insert LGBT characters anymore.
It does feel weird because they've been pretty relentless about not giving much of Disney animation to the theaters. They seem to be saving Disney animation for Disney Plus and using Pixar at the box office more often. So it did feel weird to me that this was going here when there was no concept to me of the marketing to back it. They talk here in this article about why they believe that it was a good idea for this movie to come out in theaters rather than streaming. And it says, Disney has a history of launching a family animated title over Thanksgiving. Audiences come to expect that. That alone is significant of reputation value to Disney and meeting their fans' demands. Had Disney pulled another movie from their theatrical schedule and sent it to streaming, a standard Chapek business move, especially at Thanksgiving, there would have been a great uproar from exhibition. No, there would not have been. Nobody would have cared. No, nobody's even marketing this movie. Nobody knows this movie exists, or they're not going to see it. So no, there would not have been
new releases on Disney Plus are not even part of the public consciousness at this point.
No. And then, did you see this this piece about how he was like shifting numbers around?
Yeah, that he is actively deceiving their investors.
Yeah. Bob Chapek is just trying to get through his disastrous fourth quarter earnings score. He says the board has concluded that Disney embarks on an increasingly complex period of industry transformation, Bob Iger is uniquely situated to lead the company through this pivotal period. And I asked, why is that so important? That's because they knew likely that this stuff was going to. So he's the
scapegoat.
No, that Iger's the one who's going to have to be brought in to smooth over the fact that Chapek did stuff that was...
Chapek is the scapegoat. Yeah. Iger gets to be the hero that comes and saves the company. But I don't think that's actually going to happen. So in 2020, it says Chapek assured investors that Disney Plus would achieve profitability by fiscal year 2024.
That was never plausible.
Yeah.
That was never, not with the amount of money. Do you remember one of the videos that we did early on? We talked about, we did a thing where we broke down all of the content spend that all of these streaming services were doing. And Disney was by far and away, by several million higher than the rest of what they were spending per year. It was like something $1 billion on content.
I mean, likely due to flooding those licensed properties with new content.
Yep.
I mean, all they gotta do is like get another Star Wars in.
But no, they ruined Star Wars though. Nobody cares about Andor. Nobody gives a crap about Andor. And they're not even doing the Star Wars movies anymore. They're dumping it all.
Well, there is talk of a new Star Wars movie being in development, actually.
Well, that's a dime a dozen there nowadays. I mean, there's always talk about something in development until I see casting and directors hired. So basically, they talk about how they moved 2 shows that were originally meant to be used on Disney Plus and put them out on terrestrial television, and then shifted the numbers over to make the budgets look different. It's crazy. So it says,
how gullible do they have to be?
It says there's a near impossible goal to achieve due to the fact that the company has, in reality, lost $8.5 billion since Disney Plus launched and has bigger operating losses in each of the post 4 quarters. So it got worse every time.
Yeah.
In doing so, Chapek then would then list a given series budget on the respective network's accounting sheets. So he would take the Disney Plus show, but then move where the budget was done through Disney Plus and move it over to the network. But even though the money was earmarked for Disney Plus television, it was moved over to the accounting books for terrestrial television. And it's just, it's funny because I hear that stuff and I imagine they have a million ways to do that legally. Like,
yeah,
they have the best lawyers and accountants in the world.
Yeah, but I mean, the stench of that move is gonna last a while. And that's why 100% that if that actually happened, they have to change CEOs immediately. Because so many things are affected by fudging the numbers and then the numbers being like significantly lower. Because departments get their budgets out of that. Yeah. And so a lot of times, like budgets are associated with quality. But as we've learned, that's not necessarily the case. But most importantly is that some people have a company like this books their advertisements long in advance.
Yeah.
Because they're so prime. And now they're probably the calculations for Disney Plus being financially profitable in 2024 was probably based off the numbers of Disney Plus like increasing. And now that it's public knowledge, or at least niche knowledge, that the books are cooked, like they're gonna have to change those figures for sure.
It said they spent $30 billion on content this year alone.
Gosh.
Where is that money going?
That's the same thing with Amazon Prime's Rings of Power. It just all feels like a money laundering scheme.
It does.
And I think even the need to cook the books like this shows they'll go to any lengths just to not make good content that people want to watch. It's very simple. You don't need to insert social engineering into kids' entertainment. It weirds people out. Yep. Even mainstream audiences who are completely on board with the LGBT cause, like they still don't want it to be awkwardly inserted into a kid's animated movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that that is so integral to the plot and the character that they couldn't have even opted to edit it out shows that it's a team of executives sat around a table and talked this out and strategize this for a movie for children.
Yeah.
That is extremely creepy and predatory. And I'm just tired of like acting like this is a marketing ploy when clearly it is not profitable to do this.
Did you see the rumor that they want to sell that Iger's being brought back to prep Disney for sale to Apple?
Really?
No way.
There's people that believe that they want to sell Disney to Apple.
No way.
I don't even
just merge everything.
Just everything until it's just
everything until it's one big Borgization.
Evil Corp, like
literal Evil Corp.
Umbrella Corp. It'll turn into Umbrella Corp at the theme parks.
But that's actually what I wish to happen because I am, of course, a communist. And I was like, wow, it's just so complicated to have all of these different subscriptions. I wish that all the streaming services would just be one big company, one big conglomerate that I can subscribe to.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Because I'm a good, well-behaved little consumer. I was out shopping at the mall on Black Friday.
Did you go out?
I'm a well-behaved little shopper.
Did you go out
to the
mall on Black Friday?
Of course I
Sounds horrible.
Yes. And I had a good time.
Even
because I'm a woman.
Just getting ads for Black Friday and Cyber
Women
Monday
be shopping.
sales.
Don't you know that, Brett?
Well, one of the high points is that I don't have to work in retail.
So is it women?
I don't know
do you think it's women
anymore.
that manage the subscription services in households?
That's a good question because from what the way I would imagine it is Hannah Claire is steadfast in her belief that men are the ones that want subscription services. I would say it would depend on which subscription service you're talking about. I would also say that men are probably more likely to be are obviously more likely to be gamers. Yeah. But in general, my thought about it with that to Apple is, okay, Bob Chapek was only really in charge for 10 months. He was only alone after Iger was on his way out for 10 months. And he managed to screw all that up in 10 months because he doesn't have the gravitas or the ability to play the politics that Bob Iger does. But my question is, what does Iger do that's going to be any different now? It won't matter. He's going to go in the same direction. All the movies that you saw come out this year that flopped, whether it be Lightyear or Strange World, those are all greenlit by Iger, not by Chapek.
I think it's an optics things for the investors for the cooking of books. Like that's super serious.
I remember a story that Clownfish TV did like 2 or 3, no, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago now, where like a Disney investor or like a Disney employee tried to like blow the whistle on funny money at the, or, you know, at funny bookkeeping at the company. And I don't know whatever came of that, because Disney will just bury him in lawyers. Like, it's not like you're going to out-lawyer Disney.
There's no point in trying to inquire into it at all.
You're never going to out-lawyer a conglomerate of that size.
I can't believe that they have an army of like Twitter people, like so-called allies, defending them as a mega corporation. People who claim to be like fighting the communists, the people fighting the system, etc. They're out here defending Disney in their butthurt tweets. One of them said, "Homophobic content creators are so predictable. As soon as Strange World flopped, they just had to cash in." And then someone replied,
I think it was the marketing. I don't think the kids. I don't think the kids cared, or the parents even knew about the LGBTQ stuff. I think that the company had no faith in it, and the marketing was garbage.
That's certainly not going to retain anyone who had interest in it initially. And then someone replied to that tweet saying, "If you were to ask any of them what they thought about the movie before the standard first LGBTQ character reports,
like
they would have said that they didn't care or hadn't even heard of the movie." Yeah. Exactly. Do you think that's some kind of own that we haven't heard anything about the movie and that we don't care about the movie, and all we saw was the marketing about a first LGBTQ character, like of which we've seen hundreds?
It's like their 9th or 10th first LGBTQ
Is that some kind
character.
of own against us that we take things for surface value?
I'm not even interested in that optic aspect. My thing is that it's kind of incredible that Disney of all companies bombed on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah,
like I think that's the story more than anything.
Black Panther held on to number one for the third week in a row, so technically they win either way.
It's all the appearance of competition, but it's not.
It really is. It's when it comes down to it, it's really just Disney and Warner Brothers, and I guess Universal.
Until Walmart Plus comes to shake things up.
Once we get Walmart Plus, we'll be good to go.
Yay.
I also think that the other big thing about this that I thought is when I looked at the information on the movie, it's like it's a huge waste of Jake Gyllenhaal. He's in that movie and nobody.
Oh, is he voicing the character Ethan?
The dad, I think.
Oh, the dad.
I don't.
Yeah, I did see his name in there.
That's strange. That's not even okay. There, the other article went. I kid you not. They're still blaming the pandemic. They're like, it didn't do well because we're still living in the pandemic era. We've had $2 billion movies in the pandemic era. And we've had Black Panther made a good amount of money. All the Marvel movies make enough money. They're not making the money that the old Marvel movies made, but they're still making money. You don't get to keep blaming the pandemic era. There aren't people that are not, if they're not going to the movies because of the pandemic, they're not going to the movies.
They're going to the movies for Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
What's your excuse? Their bold-faced lie excuse for people not going to the movies at Thanksgiving time, I cannot believe it.
I would be okay with
adapting to the post-pandemic world.
I would be better.
We've been in the post-pandemic world.
They'd be better off blaming a recession in the fact that nobody has any money and that everybody's broke. And
you better give them something valuable to spend their money on, or else forget it.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.